Although Nigma just managed to find a victory in a clutch fashion versus Navi in advance, they seem to struggle a lot at this TI. In this video, I will try to explain why is the case and what are the core problems that Nigma are struggling with. Let's start with the point number 1. 1. Poor item choices. There are too many games that Nigma's item choices don't make any sense. Just to show you some examples, in game 3 versus Yakutu Brothers, Ghost goes for the third item Deso, just after BKB and Echo Saber. While the item obviously fits into what they want to do, I believe there are better choices in this game. When you look at this draft, you can see that Nigma's team has a lot of things. Tower pressure, decent teamfight with SF and Monkey Arena, sustain of Pagna, and catch by Batrider. However, other than the initial catch by Bat and SF ultimate, they struggle a lot with catch. They have nothing to control Quop and Pango if they want to run away. I watched the whole game and the recurring theme is, they use SF ultimate to start the fight or to get control of it, but a lot of the times not many heroes get caught by it. Look there, only Enchantress dies, but she has a buyback. The problem is, you basically traded your whole control of the fight for position fight. By the time SF uses Refresher, Orion is already on him with BKB. And imagine, instead of having this Deso, you would have Basher, and suddenly, locking people down would be so much easier. This could be the game-winning fight, but turned out to be one that lead to their downfall. When you have Lycan and Pagna, you do get a lot out of them, but you will struggle for control. I think the best course of action would be to address that with Monkey King this game and skip Deso entirely. They already have 2 sources of minus armor, and once they get on top of someone, they will just kill him, as long as he's in one place. This example is actually very interesting. I've seen people flame Ghost for not having BKB this game, at least early, and I feel like this comes down to the draft. Having 3 heroes like Kotal, Shaman and Undying means you lack damage, and while the BKB is really important here, I believe there's not a single item that you could replace in your inventory right now. Also, one thing to consider is, BKB won't save you against Bane's ultimate anyways. The big issue in this game is that they don't just snowball out of the lane so hard enough, as he would already have the BKB by now. If you have a team like this, you need to get a lot of damage, as otherwise they would have no shot at winning fights. In short, this game I believe was down to the draft issues, along with not winning lanes, as they were trailing by 5k around 10 minutes. 2. Converting leads into objectives. But even if the item choices line up, there's another recurring issue that hurts Nigma. They don't convert their fights into objectives. This is a good example of that. Even though they got Raxus eventually on the top lane, it took a little bit extra time. They've got very good pushing lineup, and at this moment they've killed 2 of the side of Yakutu. But again, the lack of control means the Requiem from SF is completely wasted, and then the fight is over. Having the threat of the ultimate sometimes means more than using it, and this was the case in that fight. There was no need to use the ultimate without setup. Lycan was not under any threat to die, and dire players cannot commit the fight with blinks, as then SF has a free ultimate to use. Instead of jumping in with SF, all they need to do is just hit the buildings and wait for any kind of setup, like Monkey Stun. This is a good snapshot. In game 3 versus Liquid, Nigma has 7k gold advantage at 22 minutes, yet the mid tower is standing. This is just unacceptable. Mid tier 1 is probably the most important tower when it comes to map control in the mid game. They have a huge advantage, and yet they don't group up to hit that. Not having access to that always makes your mid lane to be pushed in, and if you don't control the mid lane, it's very hard to control 2 lanes. And this is a key point when it comes to map control. In fact, despite the game being over 40 minutes, they failed to get the tower. And I wanted to show you game 1 versus Navi against Nigma, but for some reason the replay is bugged, and I cannot download it. I will just talk about it though. At 24 minutes, Nigma is trailing by 7k gold, the same amount as they were up against Liquid. In this game, however, Navi gets Aegis and then they go high ground, and they get tier 3 out of it. Sure, it's easier with the Aegis to get objectives, but again, in the game against Liquid, Roche was available, so that's another objective that Nigma didn't go for. 3. Map discipline. Nigma's players often die on the map without accomplishing anything. Taking stats just before their match against Navi, they have highest average deaths at TI out of all the teams. They have over 28 average deaths per match. To compare, Wildcard has 24.1, meaning 4 deaths less than them on average, and I picked Wildcard there to compare teams with the same score. Compared to the best out there, Bedboom, they have 12 more deaths on average. And now, I will show you some examples. When you look at the map state, there's no way you can get caught like this. You just got back into the game, but having a pick-off like this costs you all the map pressure you can apply. And this happens again, 3 minutes later. I feel like most of this comes from lack of clear plan in the game, as deaths in cases like this seem to be quite obvious and easy to dodge, yet there's so many pick-offs that they allow enemies to get without even paying the price. All the waves are pressure and yet they get a pick-off on a crucial core while not even pushing at waves. Despite all the problems, Nigma managed to win their match against Navi and now they will end up in elimination round. Can they get through it? We will see. If you want to see more TI breakdowns, make sure you subscribe to the channel, as I will keep posting daily videos about TI. See you!